Welcome to our deep dive today. We're going to be exploring the roots of innovation, tracing those threads all the way back to ancient Greece, China, and India.
Oh, that's going to be fun.
It's like time traveling, right? Uncovering those vibrant ideas that shape the world we live in.
It is. It's a fascinating journey.
Have you ever wondered where, our thirst for knowledge comes from?
Hmm.
Or this drive to constantly reinvent things?
It's amazing, When you think about it, these ancient cultures, miles apart,
Right?
were wrestling with the same fundamental questions about life, the universe, everything.
The big questions, yeah.
And understanding these ancient roots, I think, gives us an amazing insight into the trajectory of human progress.
So let's unpack this, huh? Let's go with ancient Greece.
Okay.
We all know, like the toga parties.
Yeah.
But beyond those festivities, the Greeks were like philosophical powerhouses.
Hmm.
Imagine you're surrounded by people who just accepted the world as it was. And then you've got these radical thinkers like Socrates who dared to question everything.
Exactly. It's that questioning. That's where real innovation begins,
Yes.
right?
Like why? Yeah.
And it's important to note that Greek philosophy, it wasn't just this intellectual exercise,
Right.
reserved for the elite. It provided tools for critical thinking
Yeah.
and challenging assumptions.
Right, exactly.
Which are skills that are incredibly relevant today, still.
So they were essentially giving us like the owner's manual to our own brains.
In a way, yes. It's like how to think.
That's pretty incredible. But while this was happening in Greece, over in the East, China and India, they were developing their own, profound philosophical traditions too, right?
Absolutely. Confucianism in China, with its emphasis on ethical behavior, social harmony, that provided a framework for a well-functioning society.
I see, yeah.
And then, of course, you can't forget the spiritual traditions of Hinduism and Buddhism in India,
Right.
offering these deep insights into, existence and enlightenment.
Mm.
And all of these philosophies, they were blossoming simultaneously. It kind of highlights how humans across the globe, despite their differences, were grappling with the same big questions.
Yeah. It's mind-blowing to think about these different schools of thought all emerging around the same time. But the Greeks didn't stop at philosophy. They were also pioneers in science and math, weren't they?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
They were. Figures like Pythagoras, Euclid, they made discoveries that weren't just for dusty textbooks. They actually formed the basis of fields we still use every day.
Yeah, their work is literally the foundation of so much of our modern world. What's fascinating to me is that for the Greeks, science and philosophy, they weren't separate pursuits,
No.
right? It's like they're woven together in this quest to understand the universe.
Yeah, for them it was all connected.
Yeah. Can you give us an example of how those two kind of intertwined?
Sure. Take the theory of the four elements, for example. Earth, air, fire, and water.
Oh, right.
This theory, initially proposed by pre-Socratic philosophers like Empedocles, it wasn't just a philosophical concept.
Right.
It was used to explain natural phenomena, and it even influenced early medical practices.
Wow.
It just goes to show how the Greeks saw these fields as interconnected in their pursuit of knowledge.
So it wasn't just about abstract pondering. They were trying to apply these ideas to understand the world around them.
Yeah.
That's so cool. But while Greece was kind of rocking the Western world, there were some serious innovations happening further east as well, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we hear about the concept of zero coming from India
Right.
and the Islamic Golden Age.
Right.
What made those contributions so significant?
They were groundbreaking. I mean, take the concept of zero.
Yeah.
It's fundamental to mathematics, and it originated in India. Mind-blowing when you think about how essential it is
It really is.
to everything from basic arithmetic to advanced calculus. And then there's the Islamic Golden Age, where scholars like Al-Razi and Ibn Sina made huge leaps in medicine, astronomy, chemistry. And these scholars, they didn't just preserve Greek knowledge.
Right.
They expanded upon it,
Yeah.
making their own unique and invaluable contributions to the world.
It really highlights how the story of innovation is a global one, with different cultures building upon each other's knowledge. But it wasn't all about theories and equations, right?
Yeah.
We also see the emergence of incredible engineering feats in the ancient world.
We do.
The pyramids, the aqueducts.
Yeah.
These weren't just structures, they were statements.
Absolutely. Imagine the ambition and vision it took to create these marvels without modern technology.
Wow.
It's awe-inspiring.
Yeah.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, these ancient structures represent something deeply human. It's that desire to create something lasting, a legacy that outlives us. The Roman aqueducts, for example, they weren't just feats of engineering.
Right.
They were crucial to the empire's expansion
Mm.
and public health.
Wow. It's a powerful reminder that innovation isn't just about grand ideas. It's about improving lives in tangible ways. That legacy of innovation, it just keeps building, doesn't it? Everything we take for granted today, it's all standing on the shoulders of these early inventions.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder what would have happened if that flow of knowledge had been interrupted.
It's a thought-provoking question. And it actually did happen, to some extent. The
Riveting.
fall of the Roman Empire, well, it led to a loss of knowledge in Europe.
Oh, wow.
And many of those advancements were forgotten. But thankfully, the story doesn't end there.
Okay.
During this time, the Islamic world became like a vital custodian of Greek and Roman texts, translating and building upon them during their golden age.
Wow.
It's fascinating to think about those dedicated scholars, ensuring that this precious knowledge wasn't lost forever.
It's like they were the original data backup system.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Safeguarding those vital pieces of information.
It's a good reminder that preserving knowledge is just as important as creating it. Which leads us to a period of rebirth in Europe, the Renaissance. Can you tell us about how this era brought those lost ideas back to life and what impact it had on the world?
The Renaissance was a pivotal moment in history. 14th century Italy, there was this resurgence of interest in classical ideas, leading to a flourishing of art, science, philosophy. Figures like Leonardo da Vinci and Galileo weren't just rediscovering old knowledge, they were
Right.
pushing boundaries, looking at the world with fresh eyes. The Renaissance reminds us that sometimes looking back can be the best way to move forward.
It's incredible how these seemingly disparate periods are actually all connected. Like we're
Yeah.
seeing a chain reaction of ideas and innovations,
Yeah.
each building upon the last. So what can we take away from all this?
The key takeaway here is that innovation is cyclical. We build upon the knowledge of those who came before us, and in turn, inspire future generations to do the same. It's like a relay race across time, where each generation carries the torch of knowledge and passes it on to the next. And it's not just about big names and grand theories.
Yeah.
It's about that constant desire to learn, to question, to create, a spirit that resides within all of us.
That's such a powerful thought. So before we get too lost in the beauty of the Renaissance, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've learned so far. We've journeyed from ancient Greece, with its radical thinkers who dared to question everything, to the East, where we saw the rise of profound philosophical and mathematical traditions, all the way to the impressive engineering feats and the vital role of knowledge preservation.
It's been quite a journey.
It's clear that innovation has been a driving force throughout human history, and it's something that continues to shape the world we live in today. When we return, we'll delve into even more milestones in this incredible story, exploring how the seeds of innovation continue to grow and flourish in the centuries that followed. It's incredible to think about how far we've come on this journey through, the history of innovation. From those early philosophical ponderings to the rise of empires and groundbreaking inventions. It's been quite a ride so far.
It really highlights how the seeds of innovation, they were planted way back then, and they've been growing and branching out ever since. As we move forward in history, we see that growth, it really accelerates, particularly as we enter the age of exploration.
Ah, yes, the age of exploration. A time of, daring voyages, uncharted territories, this thirst for the unknown. We've all heard those stories of explorers, setting sail for distant lands. But it wasn't just about riches and glory, was it?
No, not at all.
Yeah. What other impacts did this era have on the world?
Well, while economic motives were certainly a driving force,
Of course, yeah.
the age of exploration had consequences that extended far beyond, material gain. This period, roughly from the 15th to the 17th centuries,
Okay.
it saw European explorers venturing across the globe, driven by a desire to find new trade routes, discover new lands, and amass wealth.
Right.
But it led to this unprecedented exchange of ideas, cultures, and knowledge between different parts of the world.
So imagine this, sailors returning from distant lands, with tales of strange customs, new technologies, completely different ways of understanding the universe. It's like they brought back puzzle pieces that challenged the existing picture of the world.
That's a great way to put it. European explorers, they encountered civilizations with their own unique technologies, belief systems, ways of life. And the knowledge they brought back to Europe, well, it challenged existing assumptions, and it sparked new ideas in fields like astronomy, navigation, natural history.
That's like, whoa, what is this?
Exactly.
Oh,
Think about the impact of astronomical knowledge from the Islamic world in India.
oh yeah.
These cultures had made significant advances in observing the stars,
Right.
which helped refine European navigation techniques and contributed to a more accurate understanding of the universe.
It's amazing to think about how, like, encountering different cultures can really shake things up
It does.
and lead to those aha moments
Hmm.
that spark new ways of thinking.
Absolutely.
What were some of the key advancements that came out of this, like exchange of knowledge?
Well, a prime example is the development of more accurate maps and navigational tools.
Oh, right.
The knowledge gained from Arab and Indian astronomers, combined with innovations like the astrolabe and the compass,
Yeah.
well, it allowed European explorers to venture further and with greater confidence.
I see.
This led to the discovery of new sea routes and ultimately the exploration and colonization of the Americas.
So this era wasn't just about discovering new lands. It was about expanding our understanding of the cosmos
Exactly.
and our place within it.
It was about pushing the boundaries of what we knew.
Were there any downsides to this exchange of knowledge and ideas?
Well, it's important to acknowledge that the age of exploration, it also had its dark side. The pursuit of wealth and power often came at the expense of indigenous populations,
Right.
leading to exploitation, displacement, and even genocide. The introduction of new diseases also had devastating consequences for those who had no immunity.
It's a good point.
So while this period was undoubtedly a time of great intellectual and cultural exchange, it's crucial to remember the complex and often tragic human costs that accompanied these advancements.
Yeah, it's a stark reminder that progress isn't always linear. And even the most groundbreaking discoveries, they can have unintended consequences. As we kind of move past the age of exploration,
Yeah.
what's the next chapter in this story of innovation?
As we move into the 17th and 18th centuries, we see the groundwork being laid for a period of incredible intellectual and scientific advancement, known as the Enlightenment.
Ah, the Enlightenment. A time of reason, logic, and the pursuit of knowledge. What were the core values of this era, and how did they shape the world?
The Enlightenment was a transformative era that emphasized critical thinking, individual liberty,
Ah.
and the power of human reason to understand and improve the world.
Right.
Thinkers like John Locke, Isaac Newton, and Immanuel Kant,
Oh, yeah.
they challenged traditional ways of thinking and advocated for reason and evidence-based inquiry. Newton's laws of motion and universal gravitation, they revolutionized our understanding of the physical world.
Wow.
While Locke's ideas about natural rights and the social contract had a profound impact on political thought. And these weren't just abstract theories. They had real-world applications. The Enlightenment's emphasis on individual rights, separation of powers, and representative government,
Yeah.
well, it had a lasting impact on the development of democratic ideals and institutions.
So this is where we start to see, like, the seeds of modern democracy being sown. It's amazing how these seemingly, like, abstract ideas about reason and liberty can spark real, tangible change in the world.
They really can. The Enlightenment's legacy, it can be seen in the ongoing pursuit of knowledge, the defense of human rights, and the evolution of democratic societies.
It seems like we've been on a whirlwind tour of history so far,
They have.
exploring the interconnected threads of innovation across different eras and cultures. It's incredible to see how these ideas have, like, built upon each other, shaping the world we live in today. But we're not done yet, are we?
Oh, no, not even close.
I'm eager to hear about the technological leaps and bounds that await us in the modern world.
Oh, you won't be disappointed. The 19th and 20th centuries witnessed a rate of innovation unlike anything humanity had ever seen. It's mind-boggling to consider how much our world transformed in such a short span of time. So let's take a moment to catch our breath, and when we return, we'll delve into the incredible advancements of the modern era and see how the story of innovation continues to unfold.
We're back and ready to tackle the modern era. We've already seen how those seeds of innovation were planted in ancient times, nurtured through periods of cultural exchange, and blossomed during the Age of Enlightenment. But now we're stepping into a period where the pace of change, it becomes almost exponential. What can you tell us about this pivotal shift in human history?
The 19th and 20th centuries witnessed an unprecedented acceleration of innovation, driven largely by the Industrial Revolution. Imagine a world where most goods were made by hand, and then suddenly, machines powered by steam and later, electricity. They're introduced. It was a technological whirlwind that reshaped completely how we lived and worked.
I can only imagine the impact that must have had on people's lives. It wasn't just about machines, though, right?
Right.
How did this revolution impact society as a whole?
You're absolutely right. The Industrial Revolution, it had profound social and economic consequences.
Yeah.
It led to urbanization as people flocked to cities for work in factories, creating new challenges and opportunities. It also led to mass production, making goods more affordable and accessible to a wider population.
It's like the whole landscape changed.
It did.
Oh,
Think about the impact of the steam engine,
oh yeah.
which revolutionized transportation and trade, or the telegraph, which allowed for instant communication across vast distances.
It's fascinating how these technological advancements, they had such a ripple effect, changing not just how we do things, but how we live and interact with each other.
Yeah.
And it seems like this ripple effect, it only intensified as we moved into the 20th century.
Indeed. The 20th century brought an explosion of innovation in various fields. Think about the transformative impact of electricity,
Oh, yeah.
which illuminated our homes and powered our industries. Then came the automobile,
Mm-hmm.
which gave people unprecedented freedom of movement,
Right.
and the airplane, which shrank the world and made travel faster than ever before.
It's almost like every decade brought a new invention that completely changed the game. But amidst all this technological advancement, was there also progress in other areas?
Yes,
Like medicine, for instance.
absolutely. The 20th century also witnessed incredible strides in medicine. The discovery of antibiotics revolutionized the treatment of bacterial infections, saving countless lives. Vaccines eradicated deadly diseases like smallpox
Yeah.
and polio,
Oh.
and advances in surgical techniques, along with the development of new medical technologies, they led to a dramatic increase in life expectancy
It's really incredible.
and improved health outcomes for millions.
It's incredible to think about how much progress was made in just one century.
Yeah.
But amidst all this, another revolution was brewing, wasn't it? The digital revolution.
Precisely. The invention of the transistor in the mid-20th century. Well, it laid the foundation for the digital age. This tiny device capable of amplifying and switching electronic signals, well, it led to the development of computers, the internet, and ultimately the interconnected world we live in today.
It's amazing to think how something so small could have such a massive impact on our lives. It's almost impossible to imagine a world without smartphones, social media, instant access to information. But this digital revolution, it's still unfolding, isn't it?
Absolutely. We're living in a time of exponential technological advancement.
Yeah.
We're seeing breakthroughs in fields like artificial intelligence, biotechnology, nanotechnology, and renewable energy. The possibilities, they seem endless, and it's both exciting and daunting to consider what the future holds.
Yeah, it's certainly a lot to wrap our heads around. But what I find truly inspiring is that this spirit of innovation, it isn't limited to scientists and engineers. It's something that resides within all of us, wouldn't you say?
I couldn't agree more. Every time you come up with a creative solution to a problem, every time you challenge the status quo, every time you dream up a better way of doing something, you're tapping into that same spirit of innovation that has driven human progress throughout history.
That's a powerful thought.
Yeah.
So as we conclude our deep dive into the history of innovation, what's one key takeaway you hope our listeners will hold on to?
Never underestimate the power of an idea. Every innovation, every breakthrough, it started as a spark of imagination in someone's mind. So nurture your curiosity, embrace new ways of thinking, and never be afraid to ask, what if? You never know. Your idea just might be the one that changes the world.
Beautifully said. From ancient philosophers pondering the universe to modern-day pioneers pushing the boundaries of technology, it's been an incredible journey through time. And it's clear that the story of innovation, it isn't over. It's still being written. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. And remember, the future is waiting to be shaped by your imagination and ingenuity.